I want to start with talking about you rather than news a day or the Republicans. Our reporting suggests that you're still in talks with one, two, maybe three potential organizations or campaigns to support a Republican for president. Where do those talks stand?
Your reporting is good as usual, Mark. Very, very close on the three. As you know, we were very involved in Rick Snyder's presidential race and worked on that for a long time. Then when he decided not to run, we got 3 inquiries within about 15 minutes of that announcement. We're still dealing with all 3, but one of them is very, very close.
Yeah, do you want to tell us who that is?
I just can't remember. Sorry, I've forgotten.
All right. We'll come back to that maybe at the end because you've been involved in past presidential campaigns, obviously, and as you suggested, that some people would like to have you work with them. Let's talk about Rick Perry. What is his path back, if he has one, to get people to forget, to make a second impression, to get a second chance? Is there a path? If so, what is it?
My gut says no, there's not a path. Now, his speech was fine, but I looked at it as a presidential speech. I happen to agree with John, the sweat issue, that's inexcusable. You can't let something like that happen. But it was a political speech. I'm looking for somebody that's just going to talk to people. I think on the Republican side, though she is not my client now, she was before, I think Carly Fiorina is doing one of the best jobs of that, as opposed to delivering a speech.
Fred, it's clear from the other big speech down in Texas today, Hillary Clinton's about voting rights, that Democrats, not just Secretary Clinton, but Democrats in general, are going to make a big issue about this as we go forward, for reasons some of which have to do with substance and some have to do with politics. How would you advise your party to deal with this question as both a political and substantive matter as this election plays out over the next 18 months?
I would love to answer that for you, John, but I didn't hear Hillary's speech, so tell me what she talked about. I saw just enough of it to know it was one more sort of poorly read political speech, which I'm getting tired of. I don't know if voters are, but give me a hint and I'll give you my answer.
The thrust of her speech was that she wants to have a nationwide effort to expand early voting, and she wants to have universal automatic voter registration. And she's doing this, she says, because Republicans are orchestrating systematically an effort to suppress the vote with their voter ID laws and other kinds of restrictions. And that's obviously been an issue of some controversy in past campaigns, but it's going to be a bigger one this time around.
I think to me, it's a thinly veiled attempt to get more Democratic votes, which she needs in order to win because she's not off to a very rousing start in this campaign. I can't fathom that others don't see that.
Fred, we talked also earlier in the program about Jeb Bush. You're now going to have Hillary Clinton, not her full announcement, but her first big rally and speech 2 days before Jeb Bush formally announces he's running in Miami. Both those dates were probably set long ago, but just announced recently. If you were involved with the Bush campaign, would you look at this as a great opportunity to announce shortly after Hillary Clinton will be dominating the spotlight 2 days earlier, or is there some peril in that decision?
You don't have a choice, Mark. You take the cards you're dealt. And if those are the cards you're dealt, you make it a positive. I think between those two, Jeb has the most to gain. I think if he gets away from giving sort of a pat speech and talks to people and shows his heart, I know him, he's a great guy, then I think he might pull that off, and the contrast will be a favorable one.
Is this thing you've referenced a couple times, the notion of not giving political speeches but talking to people, is that something that you think's always been the case, or is there something about the mood of the electorate that you think puts more of a premium on that now?
I think it's mood of the electorate. I'm sitting here in Hollywood, and some of the guys here in the studio and I were talking before we went on the air. Every one of them said that they're just sick of politics. And you know, you hear that every election. You don't hear it from people that come in out of the hall to mention that to me as though I could do something about it. But I think that is the mood of the electorate. I think it's unbelievably bad now.
Fred, Carly Fiorina put out a very extensive financial disclosure where she went down to the penny of her rather large net worth and a couple of years of tax returns. Obviously, financial disclosure was a big problem for Mitt Romney back in 2012. Do you think that Carly coming out with such an extensive disclosure, is that going to put pressure on other Republican candidates, in particular Jeb Bush, to do the same?
The answer is yes, but let me say this. I think Carly I ran her Senate race here. I'm not involved in her presidential race. She's not the mystery candidate. But I think she's running an extremely strong race. I think she's done everything right so far. And right now, I think that was a very smart move on her part. She's not a poor woman, and though she started out poor, and I think she sort of takes that off the table and puts the pressure on everyone else to belly up to the bar and do the same.
Fred Davis of the Hollywood Davises, soon to be working probably for a Republican presidential candidate. TBD. We'll have you back when you've picked your candidate. Fred, thanks.